Earlier that afternoon, the condo had been filled with exuberant guests, enjoying good food and great wine. Keith had decided to throw a small lunch in honor of my visit, which had coincided with my birthday. Expectations were high, and he surpassed them, preparing a salmon mousse whose shape echoed the copperfish mold while swimming prettily on a bed of greens and fresh mango. For dessert, an olive oil cake was topped with the apricot preserves and candied violets I'd carried from Vienna. The hours passed convivially, but if truth were told, Keith, Jeffrey, and I were anticipating the departure of our guests. Only then, once the kitchen was clean, could the games finally begin. I'd known Keith for years before I learned of his reputation as a fierce canasta player. Cutthroat, apparently. Unfortunately, I didn't know a meld from a draw, so we opted that evening for Scrabble, a deceptively benign choice. I thought I knew the rules, but what made me think the aim was to create long multisyllabic words from my tiles? Words like miasma, barfly, denizen, vanity. Alas, this was not a winning strategy, not even a little bit. The three of us played. Jeffrey was a cunning opponent, with his two-letter words that had me searching the dictionary to see if A, za, nye, or oe were indeed valid. They always were. It was infuriating, vexing, two delicious words he would never think of using, not if he could score with Joe or, good heavens, yo. Keith was the more ruthless. If this had been a duel, he would fire his pistol after 9 paces, not the gentleman's 10. If this had been a dogfight, well, we'd be fighting like dogs. But this was a board game, and his offerings were lethal. He favored the 3-letter weapon and threw down ads and cob, Fen and Mog, re and vug. Words that teetered on the cusp of being wrong. While I lost game after frustrating game and grew increasingly more enraged, the two of them gloated insufferably. Finally, tipsy on Prosecco and a bit too much mousse, I reached the limit. My vocabularic pride at stake, I stood up, glared at them, and petulantly announced,
"I have cancer!"
As if that piece of old news alone should have been enough to grant me a win. But Keith, sympathy be damned, shot back.
"Well, I've had 3.
It may have been his indignantly innocent face, or the absurdity of using our illnesses as competitive chips. But we fell apart laughing. We laughed and laughed until we were limp and required more cake. Afterwards, Jeffrey suggested,
Maybe we should play Monopoly?
It's a game delightfully lacking in ambiguity. A hotel will always beat a house. Unless I'm mistaken about those rules too.